It's official. My placenta hates me. Welcome to my 5/6 month pregnancy update and how I'm kind of teaching online. If you're here for online teaching tips, stick around because next week I will be back with another specific video for online teachers. If you missed last week's, you can check it out here. I talked all about the difference between like a W-2 employee and a 1099 employee, an independent contractor. And there's lots of legalities, lots of differences. I am not a tax professional or financial advisor or anything like that. So if you're looking for that, go pay someone. But I was just talking about in that video how we work the budget for us because unlike with W-2, your employer won't withhold taxes, okay? Hey there, I'm Allison from Online Teacher Allison, and I teach stay-at-home parents how to teach online so they can earn an income from home. All right, at the time of this video, I am 26 weeks pregnant. And oh boy, what a doozy this month was. So let's start with an update. Did I say 26 months or weeks? I don't even know. It feels like 26 months. So anyways, here's the bump. It's getting big. 26 weeks, baby is super active. I am feeling the kicks all the time. So this month, last we left off, I had told you that my doctor suspected I had partial placental previa. If you missed that last video, it's right here. Quick recap, not even really, just if you don't know what placental previa is, it's when the placenta covers the cervix. It can partially cover it or fully cover it. They are suspecting that mine partially covered it. So I was on a pelvic rest. That's the only restriction they gave me. I could still work out. I could still lift. I could go about my daily activities, just pelvic rest. So no adult activities, essentially. So I had a 4-week follow-up where I got another anatomy scan, essentially. So I got to see the baby again in really good detail. I got more pictures. And what they found was they don't think I have placental previa. They think it's like if this is the cervix, they think my placenta is lying just a little close. And the concern is when baby's on its way out, it'll disrupt the placenta, which causes a big issue just because it's so close. So I am still on pelvic rest. I am going back for another 4-week checkup to check on that. But the worst news was they don't really think my problem is placental previa. They think my problem is that my placenta attached to the C-section scar for my son. So we had an unplanned C-section with my son. The day of delivery, everything that went wrong could go wrong. So, they cut the skin, they cut the fat, they go through the muscle, they cut through all these layers. And one of the layers they cut through is the uterus, obviously. And so the uterus has an internal scar. On top of the scar, you can see on my belly from last time. So inside the belly, where the scar is, if like the incision is here, like my line, they think the placenta is like attached to it. So out of all the places it could attach, that is the one place they don't want it to attach. And I am special in the worst way because if my doctors, not even really my doctor, hold on that, but the doctor that I talked to said that if they perform 1,500 C-sections a year and they see like people have another baby after the C-section, they see the placenta attached to the C-section 1 or 2 times a year out of 1,500 C-sections. Yay me. You always say, I want to be special, right? You don't want to in the medical world, right? Like nobody wants to be that weird case that everybody talks about. And that has been me, like always. When I had my son, I had nurses coming to me like, yeah, I've been keeping an eye on you on your monitors. I'm like, I don't even know you. They all knew my story. I didn't know them. So anyways, the doctors I went to, so I had my standard OB, but when they found the possible previa, they referred me to the high-risk doctors. And if my placenta does not figure its crap out and move, which the high-risk doctors told me it was a coin toss, I will not see my normal OB anymore. I will see the high-risk doctor because, here's the kicker, because my placenta is attached where it is, it does not detach as easily during delivery. So one, I am already having a repeat C-section because of the placenta. And two, because of where it is, where it doesn't detach very well, this is what I've been told. I'm a doctor, okay? They want to perform a C-section hysterectomy. And here is like just the kicker. When we got pregnant, I asked my husband, so, hey, do you think they'll just take my uterus out for me while they're in there? Because I'm tired of being miserable once a month. Like, miserable. And it was mostly a joke, but like a, hey, you're in there, just do it. Thank God we're done having kids. We're done here, because if they give a more aggressive attempt to peel the placenta off the C-section scar, it can result in a hemorrhage. And we all know nobody wants a hemorrhage, because then you could bleed out, you could need blood going into your arm. So so instead of like the normal like bikini incision that they make for the C-section, they want to like gut me. They want to do a vertical incision. And while yes, I'm done with my uterus, I don't want it. Like, I don't want the monthly hassle that comes with it. I don't want to be recovering from that sort of surgery with a newborn. Thankfully, my husband gets 3 months off. He can take it all at once, or he can take it like 1 week at a time, and we can get like 1 week every month for the year. It really depends on how we want to do it, and what ends up happening here is going to really depend on how we decide to take his leave. And also my family's like 2 hours away. So thankfully I will have more help here compared to when I had my son, because our family lives in Texas, and at the time we were stationed in California. So I didn't have any help right away. My family did have tickets to come out, but he came a week early. So by the time my family got out here, he was like 3 or 4 weeks old. So the bulk of the healing was done. So thankfully, I will have help on that end. So my placenta hates me. There's a 50-50 chance of it fixing itself. And I, at this point, have resigned myself to the fact that I'm probably going to have a hysterectomy at 32. I'm not 32 yet, but I will be. And what really sucks about it is they want to do it early. So I was already thinking about doing a repeat C-section under completely normal circumstances, just so I could get family out here to help watch my son while I'm in the hospital. And that was going to be at 39 weeks. And then when I had the previa, they pull early because they don't want you going into labor on your own. That was going to be at 30, I don't even remember, 37, 38. But now that it is, there's a word for it. I can't remember what it was. There's, obviously a medical term. But now that the placenta is not attached right, they want to pull even earlier at 34 to 35 weeks. Like, when I tell you I did not want a NICU stay, believe me, that was stressful. I don't want to do it again. And I think I'm going to have to do it again. Like, how many babies are okay being born 5 or 6 weeks early without the NICU? Very few. So, pregnancy and labor and delivery hate me. So let's just extend it to that too. So we are now feeling the time crunch. We are in the single digits of how many weeks until baby arrives if it doesn't fix itself. And I've resigned myself to it not fixing itself. So over the weekend, we traveled down to my family's house in Texas, and we went furniture shopping. So we got a dresser for the baby. We got a crib. We were going to paint my son's old crib, but it got really cold and really wet, and my husband hasn't been able to get out there and sand, and I haven't been able to figure out what the best paint to use is, and we found a crib for $100. We're like, well, we're going to probably spend that on paint and sanding crap anyways, so we bought a crib. And what's ridiculous is we have a large, SUV, 3-row SUV. The third row will go down completely flat. And so it was me and my husband, my mom and my son. We all went shopping. We picked up the dresser and the crib, and we pull around to where they load your stuff in your car. And what came as a shock to us was the dresser was already assembled, so it didn't fit in the car. So the original plan was to drive the stuff back up to Oklahoma on Sunday when we came home. But just to get it from the furniture store to my parents' house where we were staying for the weekend, we had to like tie down the trunk hatch thingy, like, you know, the trunk, how it opens up. It wouldn't close all the way. There was just like a little bit hangover. So we had to tie down and drive really slow on the freeway to get to my parents' house, where it is now living for another week until we go back next weekend with, I don't know, probably a U-Haul. So still on our to-do list, we have to get an electrician out here because we are converting our master closet into our office space. Because our office space, this space currently, is going to become the guest room because it's really cold in here. So like there's a giant window and I just don't want a baby in that. Like when I stood up, you probably saw my heating pad. It's not because anything hurts, it's because it's warm. And then the guest room is going to move in here. And then the current guest room is going to be the nursery. So nothing is done because we have not gotten an electrician out here. We were hoping to wait for our tax return and just spend our tax return on that, but there's no time. I have my tax information in the mail. I saw that come in today. My husband can probably get his online, but we're waiting. We invest with Acorns, and every year they take forever to get us our tax information. Like it's late February by the time it comes in. And if we wait for them and then wait for the return to roll in and everything else, it's too late. So that's the update. Baby's fine. The anatomy scan, they did not find any issues with the baby. They say the anatomy scan can find about 80% of them. So thankfully, baby's healthy. I am on high alert for any bleeding. If I start bleeding at all, I have to go straight to the hospital. And high-risk doctors said that happens to a lot of people with the stupidly attached placenta. So, yay. So I will be delivering at the Children's Hospital. They have a labor and delivery floor there. And that is where the high-risk doctor is. So we got a little bit of a preview of where we're going to be. It's just like a couple streets down from a regular doctor. Like I knew where it was. I had just never been inside. So yeah, pelvic rest, high alert for bleeding. I had my glucose test this month. That was another freaking fiasco. So the glucose test, I'm probably talking to moms, but if you've never been pregnant, they give you basically like a sugar drink, and they test your sugar levels in an hour because, to my understanding, being pregnant can mimic diabetes. And so they want you to manage it just like you would if you had regular diabetes. They want you to manage it with your diet. So they check. So I was at my regular checkup with my doctor, and they gave me the sugar drink. And the best way I can describe it is it tastes like Sprite that has no carbonation. It's flat, and it's just like the pure syrup. It is a complete sugar rush, and it knocks me on my butt for the rest of the day every time I've done it. So I get there, I drink the drink. You have 2 minutes to drink it, and it's not a little bit. It's like a good amount. Like, are you going to throw this up? I think they ask everybody. I'm like, no, I'm done with that part, thank God. But it's still gross, and it's still going to give me indigestion, because the indigestion I've had this pregnancy is outrageous. Like, I have a bottle of Tums that lives in my purse. So I drink it. The doctor comes in. Regular OBGYN doctor. We talk about my visit with the high risk. That was that morning. And they send me on my way to the lab. They're like, here's your slip. Here's what time your blood has to be drawn. It's a 1-hour test. They have, what I learned, a 6-minute buffer. And then after that, it times out and your test is invalid. Usually, my OB has a phlebotomist right there on their floor, and she handles all of the OB blood work. Well, she wasn't there. So I had to go down a couple of floors to the lab for like the whole building. So I give them my slip. I'm like, here, my blood has to be drawn. And at that point, it was like 20 or 30 minutes. And they're like, okay, cool. And then they asked, did they already dose you? I'm like, yeah, I drank the drink. And like, well, your order isn't put in yet. So we'll call up there and we'll try to get it figured out. So they call up there, but they had already turned off the phones. They close at 5. They turn off their phones at 4:30. It's dumb. So then they're trying to message my doctor, and they got a hold of my doctor. And my doctor's like, okay, the nurse will put it in. But the nurse isn't who dosed me. Like, I know who he was talking about, and I saw her, but she's not the one who gave me the dose. I don't know who gave me the dose. I had never worked with her before. I'd never seen her before. If she was older, you'd think she'd know what she was doing. So anyways, an hour comes and goes, and guess what is not in there? The order to draw my blood. So I get sent home with my glucose test not being done. And I have a headache. I have sugar crash, so I am exhausted. And I'm mad because that means I have to drink the sugar again. So I went back at the end of last week and and I had heard from the nurse. The nurse messaged me on their online portal, their online chart thing, and said, hey, your order's put in. You can go anytime from da-da-da. So one of my afternoon classes got canceled this week. I was like, great. I'm just going to take this time and I'm going to go. Because I had been whining about it all week. I was so mad. Because I came home that day. I fell asleep on the couch. I had a headache. I had a meltdown. It was a bad day. Like, I heard about the placenta. My sugar didn't get tested. And I just lost it when I got home. So I had been whining about it all week because I didn't want to do it. And I was just like, let's just get it over with. So I go back. I go back to the OB floor. Phlebotomist is not there. The lab tech, whatever you want to call her. So they sent me back down to the lab on the first floor where they recognized me and where people I've never seen before know my story because I am the girl that got dosed for no reason. Yeah, that was me. So I get there and I asked the lady, I was like, okay, she told me it was in, but can we triple check that my order is in before I drink this again? So my order was in. I drink the drink again. And I sit in the waiting room for an hour and they called me and it got done. And boy, they beat me up. Like, look at this. So it's weird. I didn't even feel the prick. And usually I feel the prick. This is a couple days old at this point. She got me the first time. I don't know why it's so bad. Like, and like I said, this is like 3 days old at this point, 4 days. Got me good. So thank God my glucose came back normal. One thing came back normal because if it didn't, I'd have to do the 3-hour test. And that one's a fasting test. And I have to drink the crap again. And I have to take my blood like a lot more, I think. So anyways, that is the saga of my 5 to 6 month update. It has been a doozy. And I'm over it. I hope you're having the greatest week ever. And we'll chat soon. Bye.